Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're in Psalm 142 today, the last song in the hymn book by David, in which we have a historical reference in the superscription, the little note at the top, which is part of the text itself. Psalm 142 says it is a maskil of David when he cave, a prayer. It's interesting that this song is called a prayer, and it is. It's a cry for help. Nothing else but a cry for help. In the same way, Psalm 63 was nothing but a love song, straight up from first to last. This is a cry for help. This says, help me. I can't handle this. I need you, and I need you now. It was when he was in the cave, and I clearly believe this is in the cave at Adullam. Like the Psalms that we've seen before, when David was in the cave, before he had drawn people to himself, which is going to happen there at the cave of Adullam. We read about this in 1 Samuel chapters 21, 22. All those events begin in chapter 19. You know, he goes to Gath, he goes to Moab, leaves his parents there, hides in the cave of Adullam, and in short order, he gathers together a force of men that surround him and but this is before any of that has happened. And it's a very short song, but it's so highly structured, like these early songs are. David's right, just tossing off masterpieces in his distress. And we'll look at it in just a moment. Let's just read it now, just 7 verses. Psalm 142. With my voice I cry out to the Lord. With my voice, I plead for mercy to the Lord. Of course, he's using Yahweh's name, to Yahweh. I pour out my complaint before him. I tell my trouble before him. When my spirit faints within me, you know my way. In the path where I walk, they have hidden a trap for me. Look to the right and see. There is no one who takes notice of me. No refuge remains to me. No one cares for my soul. I cry to you, O Yahweh. You are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are strong for me. Bring me out of prison, that I may give thanks to your name. The righteous will surround me, for you will deal bountifully for me. This is nothing but a cry for help. And he doesn't ask for revenge on his enemies or anything like that. He doesn't really look far forward. He's talking about God being his portion here in the land of the living, and being rescued here, and being surrounded by people who are righteous and who do care for him here. Even though it's so small, it makes up a sort of chiasm. Chiasms are found throughout the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, and they're a literary device where the ideas in the first part come to a point, narrow to a point, and then they broaden back out in the second part, retracing the thoughts of the first part. And so in this we have mercy, complaint, and then a sharing of problems, and then complaint, and then a cry for mercy. A, B, C, B, A, in other words. So it forms a sort of chiasm. He also is very psychologically deep, descriptive, in that he talks about the process of crying for help. I cry out. There's just help me. That's the first part. And then with my voice I plead for mercy. So there's asking for specific deliverance, not just help, but asking, talking to God. This is what I need you to do. And then the pouring out of complaint. This is what's happening to me. And then he does just that. He pours out his complaint in verses 3 through 4. Look at what is happening to me. You know, I can't walk anywhere. They've laid traps for me. Look to the right. No, and see, no one is there to stand up with me. No refuge remains. And then there's the crying and the asking for mercy in the psalm. The thing I like about this psalm so much is that the thing that he asks for, he receives in verse 7, and he receives immediately. Because While he's at the cave of Adullam, wondering if he can ever leave that cave, people start coming to him. And eventually he has a force of 600 men. He is surrounded by the righteous, and God deals with him bountifully. And he has victory after victory over the Philistines, and his name becomes greater and greater. And Saul doesn't ever even get close to capturing him. And it takes a little while, but he becomes king over the southern tribes and then over all the people of Israel. And so the thing that he asks for in verse 7 is specifically and immediately given to him. How often do we get to see that in anyone's life? But we see that it has happened to David after the writing of Psalm 7, and we ourselves are encouraged by that. Well, thank you so much for joining me for 5 good minutes. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Psalm 131.